All right, if you remember, the Rebbe was speaking in the speech that he gave. This is a speech the Rebbe gave in 1991. And it's about this week's Torah portion and the importance and the significance of first fruits. When there was a holy temple, it was a commandment for the farmers that had fruit trees to bring their first fruits. Also wheat and rye, to bring it to the holy temple. First fruits. The first fruits, the best ones, the first ones that grew, bring it to the holy temple. And the Rebbe asked the question, but this is a very, very limited commandment. It was a commandment only for farmers and only time at the holy temple, and only if you grew these 7 crops or whatever that Israel is praised by. And right after this commandment, we see over here that God puts the Jews through this covenant, this brit, which is a second covenant after the Torah. God made a covenant with the Jews at Mount Sinai, that he would never leave them, they would never leave him. Now he's making a second covenant, enforcing the first one. Enforcing is not the right word, strengthening the first one, adding also the commandments. And this occurs right after the commandment of bringing these first fruits. So the Rebbe says the reason is very simple. The first fruits have, first of all, something in them that no other commandment has. And that is action. What do you mean? All the commandments are action. So no, this commandment of first fruits is giving thanks to God. You make a whole big paragraph, thanks to God. Thank you, God, that you saved Jacob and you took us out of Egypt and you brought us to this holy land and you gave us these fruits. But it's also in deed. In other words, you're thanking God in thought, speech, and in deed. And what about it just being limited to a certain amount of time? Says, no, this refers to all. A Jew must constantly thank God in thought, speech, and action every moment. Constantly. And even more, these first fruits, you gave thanks to God in thought, speech, and action, and you brought the first fruits to the holy temple, and they're not yours. They belong to God. They stay there. Says that's also true about every Jew. Every Jew is holy. Every Jew, his place is really in the holy temple. And the job of the Jewish people is not to keep it that way. The job of the Jewish people is to make the whole world into a holy temple. That everyone should feel the Creator. And Yesh Lomar, we can say that this is this general thing of revealing God in every detail of the creation, the goodness of God, and giving thanks to God with every moment that we do, with every instant of our lives and every accomplishment that we make, that this general thing, which is found in the first fruits, namely the revealing the unique high quality of the Jews, that the Jewish people are called God's first fruits, also in this physical world, until you realize that the Jewish people are even before the Torah. Remember, we learned that yesterday? The Jewish people are even higher than the Torah. A Jew can, God forbid, transgress the whole Torah, or a Jew that doesn't know anything about the Torah. Nevertheless, he's holy. And this is expressed, this fact that the holiness of the Jews themselves, just the fact that he's a Jew, this is expressed also when you brought the first fruits to the Holy Temple and you read this whole statement about, thank you, God, you saved us from Jacob. You said, which, as I said before, this whole statement is the bulk of the Haggadah of Passover that we say on Passover, these same praises. This is the whole paragraph that we say when we bring the first fruits. Anita Valmarta, that you should answer and say in front of God, your God, Arami Oved Avi, that Lavan, remember the He was an Arami. That Lavan tried to destroy Jacob, and we all went down to Egypt, and God took us out of Egypt, and He gave us this land. That all these amazing events, that Jacob went down to Egypt, going out of Egypt, receiving the Torah, going into the land of Israel. One second, my son is calling me up over here. 1 minute, excuse me. All these things about how God saved Jacob and how He took us into Egypt, and He brought us out of Egypt. He gave us the Torah, took us to the land of Israel. These are general events which are relevant and attached to all of the Jewish people for all of the generations. The main point, the main message from this paragraph that was said when you bring this first fruits is, right, that God saved us from Lavan, and He saved Jacob from Lavan, and He saved the Jews in Egypt, and He brought us to the land of Israel. That even though that Lavan tried to destroy Jacob, and Lavan had a huge army with him, it said, and Yaakov was by Lavan, and Lavan wanted to destroy everything when he ran after Yaakov. And afterward, Jacob, right? Yaakov was Jacob. And other people also came upon us. Every generation, there's people that tried to destroy the Jews. And the Jews went down to Egypt. In Egypt, they also tried to destroy us. We were there for a small amount of time. How did they try to destroy us in Egypt? To make us slaves. We had no way of getting out. We had no identity in Egypt. We had no identity, certainly not as God's people, holy people. In Egypt, they tried to totally wipe out any sort of Jewish pride, Jewish purpose, right? Beshivim Nefesh, we went down there into Egypt with only 70 people. That all of this was before the giving of the Torah. Right? Not only did it not affect and harm Yaakov and his sons, the Jewish people, but exactly the opposite. When they were in Egypt, under this tremendous suffering, under these impossible conditions, we became therefore a great nation, Atzum V'Rav. Whether a great nation in number and whether a great nation in quality. The Rebbe once said that it could be that in Russia, that there's more Jews than all of the world put together. More Jews in Russia than the whole world. How could that possibly be? You see in all the books and all the census, that's not so. So because the Jews there don't even know they're Jews. Their mother didn't know, the grandmother didn't know they were Jewish, but really they are Jewish. And there's countless stories of the Rebbe telling a person that he's Jewish, and the person going and saying, ask your mother, ask your grandmother. And they said, yes, you're Jewish. I've been keeping it quiet. So it's possible to see this. This begins with the time of Jacob. That Jacob, it says that his offspring were complete until when Jacob had a worry about this, that maybe my children aren't serving God, won't serve God. They said they all said back to them. They said back to Jacob. It says that Jacob on his deathbed, that he said, listen, you 12 sons, each one of you are different. The world is against us. Maybe one of you doesn't really worship the same God I do. And they said, Shema Yisrael, listen Yisrael. Yisrael is Jacob. His name is two names, right? Shema Yisrael, listen God, Yisrael Saba. Hashem is our God. Hashem is one. We all believe in the same God, and it's the same God that you believe in. And Jacob then said, Baruch Shem Kavod Malchus Olam, thank God that my children, Hashem, just like there's not in your heart, except for Echad, only one God. Kach ein belavenu, and belavenu, there's also in our heart only one God. At that time, Yaakov said, Baruch Shem Kavod Malchut Olam Moed, blessed is the name and the glory of God's kingship forever and ever. That also when the Jewish people, and this all happened in Egypt, even when the Jewish people were in Egypt, right? Jacob died in Egypt. they took his bones out. He made them swear that he would take his bones out with him when they left Egypt, when Moses would come along, which was going to be like, 200 years later, whatever. The complete unity with God, all of the Jewish people, despite the hardships. That's the declaration that they made when they brought the first fruits. And also after that, by means of Yeru Otanu Mitzrayim, that the Egyptians, they made us suffer. In Egypt, in the world, Mitzrayim also means to be within the limits of the world. The Egyptians wanted to make the Jews slaves of the world. The Jews would only think about worldly things from the minute they woke up until when they went to sleep, only thinking about, wow, I hope I make it through this day. I hope I don't have to, I don't get beaten. I hope that, just thinking about world all the time. That's what they wanted to, the Egyptians. But God took us out of Egypt with a powerful hand and with an outstretched arm and with great awe and with tremendous miracles and signs. This is all quotations. This is quoting what we say what they said when they brought the first fruits. And this is also, like I said, is what we say on the night of Passover. This is the Haggadah of Passover. Of course, the Haggadah of Passover came way after. This is written in the Torah, right? 3,300 years ago. That God, you brought us to this place and you gave us this holy land, the land which is flowing milk and honey. That God chose the Jewish people to be his first fruits for all of the world, for an example for the world. Therefore, the Jewish people, they bring measure for measure, because God chose the Jews to be the first fruits. So the Jewish people, they bring their first fruits to God from the land that God, you gave us. This reveals how it is that the Jewish people, Bnei Israel, Gam lifnei Matan Torah, even before the giving of the Torah, when Jacob was just with 12 tribes, and when the Jews went into Egypt, the Jews received the Torah after they left Egypt. And even before Matan Torah, before they received any revealed connection to the Torah here in the world, nevertheless, the Jewish people had an identity. The Jewish people were the children of Jacob, and they were the first fruits of God. They were before everything. They were even before the Torah. This revealed that that the Jewish people became in Egypt a great nation, powerful and many, physically and spiritually. And afterwards, God took us out of Egypt with a powerful hand, with an outstretched arm, with great awe, with signs and miracles, until he brought us to this place and he gave us the land of Israel. But what's it stressing? It's stressing the greatness of the Jewish people. Without the Torah, without the land of Israel, the greatness of the Jewish people. The Jewish people are higher than the Torah, higher than the land of Israel. The Jewish people alone. Of course, in order to, but the job of the Jewish people is, the reason God made such a thing, is to express this holiness in the world. The whole world should be affected and feel the goodness, the blessing. In order to do that, God had to give them the Torah and bring them to the land of Israel. So to speak, in addition to the fact that the Torah is one with God and unified with God, but the Torah, so to speak, is a means to bring godliness and this oneness into the world. That's what we just finished learning Torah Lishma. According to this, so now we can understand this law in first fruits, that the first fruits have to be put in a vessel. You don't just come to and put a couple of things in your pocket or bring it in a bag or something. Right? You have to bring a vessel. A vessel that was a wicker basket or whatever they bring. Like it says, V'samta b'tena. And the law is that you have to bring in a biyam. That you brought it in. Some people brought in a metal vessel, like the rich people, they could bring their first fruits in vessels of silver or of gold. And the Kohen takes this vessel he takes the vessel with the first fruits in it, and he takes out the first fruits and he gives the vessel back to the owners. And the Kohanim put it into another vessel and they change. Okay, Kamina Ga'anim, like the poor people. Harya Bikurim Vasalim the Kohanim. So if so, we see that the first fruits and the vessels are all go to the Kohanim. The completion of this revelation of the highness of the Jewish people in bringing first fruits is that also how the first fruits are found in a vessel, namely a soul and a body. We said the Jewish people are the first fruits until even that they are in a vessel of a poor person, a wicker basket, and ani badat. Nevertheless, it is recognized how it is that they are the first fruits. Even more, the first fruits, they have to have a vessel. The first fruits that you bring in front of God, the souls of the Jewish people, as high as they are, but they have, and they're called the first fruits of God. That's really what makes the Jewish people special, is the soul, the godly soul. But it has to be in a vessel. What? Bringing it to God has to be in a vessel. What does this mean? That the vessel, which is even a vessel which is made of the most simple things, this physical world, that there's nothing lower than it. And this vessel, even if it's a wicker basket, it unifies with the first fruits in a way that the first fruits and the vessel go to the priests, that the vessel itself becomes in front of God. Now, there's absolutely no commandment to bring a vessel to the Kohanim. The commandment is to bring the fruits. The fruits in this case, we're saying, are point to the Jewish soul. That's the fruits. The Jewish people are first fruits. The vessel, there's vessels all over the place. You can use vessels for all sorts of things, not for the first fruits. The vessels are not first fruits. But nevertheless, because the vessel comes in, is carrying it in at those first fruits, so the vessel also becomes holy. It belongs. Even more, that you put it in this tena. This vessel, this basket, is called a tena. Tena are the first letters, tamim, nekudot, otiot. The Torah has letters. It also has the way the letters are pronounced. And it also has the way these words are sung. There's all these ways of singing, the cantillation it's called. That's the ta'amim, the completion of the Torah. That's tena. Tena, ta'amim, nekudot, otiot. Nosaf ala otiot, in addition to the letters and the pronunciation, the vowels of the Torah, there's also the Tami Torah. There's also the singing of the Torah. In a way, the Samtiat Bikurim, that the Jew puts the inside, the Tamim, the Kudat Otiot, these hidden things, he puts them also into the Torah. In other words, not only the holiness of the Torah, but also all of the details of the Torah. That's what contains the Tena. That's the Tena. That's the vessel that contains the essence of the Jewish people. He raises up the essence of the Jewish people together with the whole entire Torah. And of course, together with the physical fruits and things that he's bringing. According to this, and now we can understand even deeper the connection of the bringing of the first fruits with what it says afterwards, the covenant, the covenant that God made with the Jewish people on all of the Torah and the In addition to what we said before, we said the covenant. The first fruits express the whole idea of what is the Torah and the commandments. Right? We said before, the whole thing of the first fruits, this is the Jewish people, this is the Torah, this is the commandments, this is the vessel that they bring it in, etc. Right? But then there's something even deeper than this, and that is that after, in the Torah portion, after it tells about this law of bringing the first fruits in the basket and etc., then it talks about a covenant that God makes with the Jewish people, another covenant in addition to the one that they had in Mount Sinai. What is this covenant, the second covenant? What is it? Bikurim, first fruits. This is we talked about before, this is the quality of the essence of the Jewish people, that the Jewish people are called first fruits even before the Torah was given. The Jewish people are higher than the Torah. And that's what it means, Jews are the first fruits of God, who, ha'atchala v'yesod, this is the foundation of all the Torah and the commandments. This is, by the way, just a parenthetical statement. This is the thing of Chabad. There's a lot of different groups in Judaism, and they're all based usually on emphasizing one or another aspect of the holiness of Judaism. All the genuine religious groups, they do the commandments, they learn the Torah, they pray. All of them have a desire to come to the land of Israel. Some say it only happen with Mashiach, but they all agree on these things. But some stress more the land of Israel. Some stress more prayer. Some stress more learning Torah. Chabad stresses the Jewish people. And more exactly, Chabad stresses every Jew. Chabad, of course, we just finished reading the holiness of the Torah, nothing like the holiness of the Torah, the holiness of the land of Israel, the holiness of the commandments, but there's no holiness like the holiness of a Jew. Even a Jew that doesn't live in Israel, and a Jew that doesn't learn the Torah, and a Jew that doesn't do the commandments, and even a Jew that doesn't even know that he's a Jew. The very fact that he's a Jew, this makes him holy to God. This is God's son, God's firstborn son, God's first fruits. The essence of the Jewish people, this is the foundation and the beginning of all of the holiness of the Torah and the commandments, because the Jewish people and God are totally one. So therefore, God made a covenant with the Jewish people that unites God with the Jews. In other words, what does this covenant say? Jewish people, listen, even if you go against the Torah, you go against the commandments, you go against everything, I'll destroy the temple, I'll kick you out of the land of Israel, but I'll never destroy you. The Jewish people will always be Jews. And of course, what determines what a Jew is the Torah determines what a Jew is, right? If you have a Jewish mother, if you convert it according to Torah. But nevertheless, the Jewish people, that just reveals who a Jew is. And it doesn't determine who a Jew is. It's just those are signs of what a Jew is. It's just even a convert. A person that converts is a sign that he always was a Jew. His soul was always Jewish. The conversion just reveals it. The essence of the Jewish soul, this is united into two. It takes two to make a covenant. So God and the Jewish people, who seem to be separate, they make a covenant below that they're really one, in a way that's revealed even in this physical world. And this is expressed in a revealed way by, it says, keeping this covenant with God. The Jewish people, they receive on themselves, and they do the whole Torah and the commandments of God. Hayom Hazeh, this expresses the oneness of God. It says in this Torah report, this is what we learned in Likutei Torah. Hayom Hazeh, this day, God is commanding you to do these commandments, to do these laws and these statutes, and be careful and do them with all of your heart and all of your soul. This is the sentence that I was looking for in Likutei Torah. in a way that not only are you a Jewish person in your soul, in your mind, but it comes out into your heart. It comes out into your deeds. Remember, that's what we just finished learning. B'chal levavecha means in the essence with your Jewish soul, and b'chal nafshecha means even in your normal soul, in a way that it permeates every Jew totally, until you can see this in the physical world, how that God has singled you out for a people, and God has made you, elevated you on all of the world to be the Tehila, or the Shem, or the Tiferet. Remember this? We said that's Chachman, this Bin and Dat. We just finished in the. And this, what's this? And in this, we can also understand even more detail what Rashi says, that today God commands you means every day. Every day the Torah should be brand new in your eyes, as though you received them today. Like we said before, that since the whole purpose of the Jewish people, Tachlis B'nai Israel, because the Jewish people are Bikurim, they are the first fruits of God, is namely just to be a Jew. Therefore, everything was created in the world for them. What do you mean the world was created for the Jews to fix up, to improve? Moving, it's understood that every detail in the life of a Jew, even it's sort of like they have, great violinists. Right? There were also great violin makers, and sometimes they would make a violin, who knows, a Stradivarius, whatever this. But he gives it. I present it to you to what was the guy's name? The famous violinist. Anyway, so he presents this to the famous violinist. Says this violin is just a masterpiece. It's beautiful. He says, I made it for you. No one can appreciate this except for you. No one can make music on it like you can make music. It's made especially for you. This piano is made especially for you. For what? Just to look at? No. To sell, to make money, to make music. The people will start to enjoy it. Same thing. The world was made specially for the Jewish people. To do what? To use the world to make music, to make the world harmonious, beautiful, to show God, the Creator, in His creation. That's what it means. The whole world was made for the Jewish people. The Jewish people are special. They're different. They're the ones that really know how to use the world in order to reveal godliness in it. Even a person that doesn't even know anything, a Jew that doesn't know anything about the Torah, doesn't even know there is such a thing. Every instant of time, every place that they are, every thought, every speech, every deed, there is a purpose in itself. And nothing is a means to something else. Every instant is the goal. Kolomar, in other words, that this is a brand new thing. That's why it says that eventually there'll be the raising of the dead. People live forever. They won't be bored. They'll live forever because every moment will be eternal. Every moment will be brand new. You won't be thinking about what was and what will be. You'll learn from the past. You'll look forward to the future. But the main thing, and then every single detail is its uniqueness, that on it a Jew has to say that every instant was created for me in the world to use properly, that everything in the world, every instant in the world, every human being in the world, even this very moment. And from this we can understand that the power that we can make the Torah and the commandments brand new every instant, even though that I just did this, it was brand new. How can it be brand new now? It was brand new an hour ago. It's already at least an hour old. This comes from the fact that the Jewish people are first fruits. Since that this is relevant to everything in the world, since that the Jewish people are not a purpose in themselves, but the purpose no. This is relevant to everything in the world, since that everything in the world is not created just for itself, but it's a means for something else, in order that the Jewish people and for the Torah, that we should improve it, just like this violin, right? That what is this, Stradivari, whatever it is, he made this violin, the thing that's worth like $50 million, who knows what, but it's not made just for the violin. It's made to make music. The same thing, the world was made for the sake of the Jewish people in order to reveal godliness. So it could be that every single instant and every single moment, regardless of, is just a continuation of the moment before it. It's a preparation to the day that's after it. Because the world itself is only a means. We have to reveal the novelty and the newness and the freshness in the world. And we can do it because we're the first fruits. The Jewish people, they have the ability to make every moment brand new, a true renewal. What does it mean to make it new? We forget everything in the past. Everybody has Alzheimer's or something. We forget who we are. No, exactly the opposite. That the past itself becomes more meaningful in every single instant. Every single instant adds a new meaning to the past and a new preparation for the future. And the future then will add meaning to this past moment. Something like the novelty, which is in every single instant when God is creating the world by himself, brand new, every instant. That this includes every single minute, in a way that every moment, new moment, becomes a beginning for Torah and the commandments, which includes all of the moments that were before it and a preparation for all the moments that will come after it until the end of service, end of time. So what are we saying? The Jewish people are pure godliness. They are brand new, and they can put this newness and freshness into every single instant of the world, and every place in the world, and every person in the world. Just like it, similarly to the fact that the Jewish people, they have their power to renew in the Torah itself, because the Jewish people are before the Torah, until the Jewish people can find new ideas in the Torah all the time. They become like a new person, really, by means of learning the Torah. Every day and every moment, everything becomes new, fresh, amazing, miraculous, surprise, every moment. That's what the Jewish people are here for, to make the whole world into first fruits. And now let's learn the Yom Yom. Took a little bit of time over here, but that's okay. Every time is brand new. Hayom Yom. The birth of the Baal Shem Tov. Today is Chai Elul. Today is the day that the Baal Shem Tov was born in 1698. This is also the day that his holy teacher appeared to him. 26 years later. He was 26 years old. And Achi Hashiloni, it says, appeared to him. Achi Hashiloni was like 1,000 years old. I don't know how long it was old. This is also the day that the Baal Shem Tov became revealed. In 5494, 1430, Baal Shem he revealed himself to the world. This is the day that the Alter Rebbe was born. First Rebbe of Chabad was born on this day. This also happened to be the day that they began learning in Tomchei Tamimim, in the yeshivas of Chabad that were established by the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe's father, the fifth Lubavitcher Rebbe. And the whole purpose of all this business is only to bring Mashiach. Baal Shem Tov Emotai Katimar, when's Mashiach gonna come? He revealed himself to Alter Rebbe. His whole thing was just to bring Mashiach. He started the Torah Chasidut Chabad, which is the Torah of the Mashiach. And Tomchei Tamimim for sure was to bring Mashiach. This is what the Baal Shem Tov said in 1892. On this week's Torah portion, and when you come to the land that God, the eternal God, gives you for an inheritance, and you will inherit it and dwell in it. It says eretz means running and to roots, and it also means ratzon, to will. It says when you attain the desire and running to God, where do you get this desire for God? Because it's a gift. When gift from God above and an inheritance for every Jew, then you have to dwell in it. What does it mean? You have to bring this lust and desire for God in a settled way and put it into a basket. What is the basket? You have to put it into appropriate vessels, which we said before, that's the Torah. And you should go to the place where God will choose. A Jew has to know that wherever he is, he's being directed by God, and he is where God wants him to be. If you miss your bus or something, the reason you miss your bus is in order that you'll meet someone and you have to say some words of Torah or something positive. And you want to make God's name dwell there, namely, that you have to make the world know that it all belongs to God. And then the Baal Shem Tov repeated this. When you get to the level of desire, then you have to go to the place you should utterly, totally dedicate yourself to making God known. How do you do this? With a blessing. The most simple way, say a blessing and say a verse of Tehillim. Even a simple thing like that can make God revealed everywhere. And now the sounding of the shofar. It was just revealed to me, brought to my attention by myself, that when I sound the shofar, that the sound cuts out and nobody hears it. So let me try to do this in such a quiet way to know. Okay, here's a tekiah. Here's a shvorim. Here's a trua. So I'm going to try. I hope it'll come out. You'll be able to. Ready? Have a good day with Mashiach. Now, there will not be a class today at 3 o'clock. There will not be a class today at 3 o'clock. My son is printing a Sefer Tanya in his home in Miron, Israel. That's also where Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai is buried, where he lives. And I'm going to go there. So, but tomorrow there will be a class, 8:15. See you all together tomorrow with Mashiach. Now. Okay, 1 minute.